The last session of today will be session 18. There will be two presentations in this session. The first one will be by Jaroslav Pejčoch, and then the second one will be by myself. It's 4:05, so I will go ahead and introduce our next speaker. Welcome back, everybody. So we will start session 18, which will deal with one presentation on IT. And so the presentation will be Eurostar's project, Best Real-Time Building Evacuation Simulations and Training System for Airborne Hazards and Fire. It will be presented by Jaroslav Pejčoch and co-authors. Jaroslav is one of the co-founders of a software company called TSoft. The company deals with information technology, crisis management, and security. Jaroslav graduated from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering of the Czech Technical University. And after his graduation, he worked for 16 years at the Research Institute of Communication Technology in the field, specifically in the field of computer graphics and automated design systems. Successively, he was also head of the design in the systems sector, and after that, the director of the IT division of that institute. In 1991, together with other partners, he founded TSoft, which is a company that he's still associated with today. And the company is dedicated its activities mainly to information projects for public administration, supplying specialized custom solutions, and providing services for decision support, security, and in security and crisis management applications. He has been involved in these developments for a very long time. He also has a long-term association with the International Emergency Management Society, where he currently serves as the secretary of TIEMS and is a member of the board of directors. He's an honorary vice president of the Czech chapter of AFCERA and a member of the board of directors of ICT Union. He enjoys working with those who bring something new to the world. And in his spare time, he enjoys music. He's an active keyboard player, and he enjoys spending time with his family that is located in various parts of Europe. And without further ado, Jaroslav, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this kind introduction. Regards from center of Europe, regards from the city of Prague. It is like this here now at the evening. And I will be talking about the project we are developing under the financing of European Commission. We are very glad that we, after years of trials, we succeeded to get this project running, because I believe that you will like the possible results which are going to be next year. The project is about disaster in closed areas. Everybody can imagine that to be in such situation is a sort of horror, and we are trying the goal of the project to somehow to contribute to the safety of building construction on one side, and at the other side, at the operation, and the operation also with some rescue activities when something happened, like was seen at the previous pictures. The causes of the disaster in such closed areas might be fires or some toxic agent release, or maybe some terrorist attacks. And there are some methods how to mitigate the risks, and these tools we are trying to prepare should help to build the more safe buildings, to prepare more accurate emergency plans and evacuation plans, to exercise them, to train the staff to simulate the crisis situation, and this is doing by modeling of crisis events. So this is the description or annotation of our project, which is all the work of real-time building evacuation simulation training system. It has some meaning. I will explain it further. And we are glad that we've got the finances from European Commission. The main objective of this program or of this project is that the aim is to put together or integrate 5 co-systems which has been on the market or on the world for years. They are from areas from computational fluid dynamics. We will be using CFD for that, which those models are able to compute how the toxic gas or smoke or something like that is spread at some scene. Then we have some crowd behavioral models. So you should know them because there are many models, for example, for evacuation, where you can watch and model how to evacuate some specific building. Then there are some injuries models which describe how some environment or something what is happening around may affect the actual person, how the exposure to the toxics, irradiants, and other harmful substances may harm the person. Then we are inventing the model of dynamic building elements because obviously the models are based by this static description of the building. That means you are modeling different situation, different scenario with static building, but we are inventing there the dynamic of the building, which means that during the simulation or it is possible to close the door, to break the walls, etc. And it is not all. We are also trying to put there the rescuers, which are going against the people which are being evacuated. So they are going to help them inside the area. And utilizing the modern technology or IT, we are trying to put everything together, synchronized, to have a tool how to help all those people, architects, developers, rescue personnel, whoever, to get the building safer and to minimize the damage and casualties. This project has been done by 5 European companies. You have it here. One of them is Technische Universität Dresden, which is a very important partner. And when I start to describe the project, I start definitely with BIM, which is something some of you may know that it is a standard for description of buildings. Everything what is at any building might be described by this standard. And in some countries, there is obligation that all the new buildings must be described in this format. So that is growing databases of description of everything, which can, in other side, enable us to create some digital twins of buildings and cities, etc. So our aim is to have our system open to any structure of the building, to have to easily import the building and any building which is described in this standard to the model and simulate using the architectural structure of this building. So it is one feature. Then there is this computer fluid dynamic model. I think you can very easily imagine what it does. So there is a modeling what is happening in the air. Then there is crowd simulation model. Again, as I said, there's many of them on the market. And there is a behavior of a person. If you imagine yourself being in the middle of the fire, or the fire is coming from, or smoke is coming from some direction, that you feel the danger, you feel the temperature, and you see the people around. So you have a target. For example, you know about the door, where the door, or there are some marked arrows, or security arrows to where to go to the door. So you would like to go to this target, but you see or you feel all these parameters which are around. So, for example, you will not go to this target when there is a strong fire or big temperature or many dead persons, etc. So this is decision point of all these persons, which are reflected in the models. And there is the injuries model, because the evacuation modeling is not just an easy to have all the people the same. There might happen that some people are really hit by this collaborating or cooperating model of CFD. So there's some people may be poisoned, some people may be lying on the ground, that creating obstacles for the others to evacuate. So the scene of the simulation might be very complex and dynamic. So there are some parameters which describe what does it mean injured people. This is the structure of the system, what we are doing. So all these classical models, the space description in BIM, the CFD, crowd simulation, are being put together in one platform where is a dynamic model which can be controlled by scenario manager, and we then see some visualization what is happening inside this closed space. So this is the scene what we do, and we are all these tools or software tools. They do some orchestrated simulation. So everything goes in parallel, synchronized. So that, for example, when we start, there starts some ignitions or some fire. So we will see later the CFD models what is happening inside the space, and the crowd simulation model reacts to the figures or agents in the crowd simulation models react to this situation from the CFD. And what more, from the control of the scenario manager, you may, for example, open and close some windows, and that means it's changed both the simulation of the smoke and fire and behavior of the people. So you see that this is very complex. The software structure of architecture of the system is like this. I will not explain it now, because it would take some longer time. But I would like just to show you what the project does, and it is based on the cloud infrastructure, where there is enough capacity to model even some large buildings. So we have two scenarios which we would like to finalize in our project. One is the office building, and the second is road and train tunnel. This office building, we selected the university building. This is the university in Czech Republic we collaborate with. And it was described in the BIM model. So you see the description of this university. And the tunnel, we were lucky that we have a partner from Austria. And in Austria, there was built the experimental tunnel, real tunnel, where is everything what might be in any other tunnels. But you see, it is this is blind tunnel. It is not going from nowhere to nowhere, but inside is everything what you need to simulate various kinds of traffic and situations. So these two spaces we selected for simulation. And here you see what elements are there, what we are dealing with, what all the models work with. That means there's the walls, doors, windows, some people evacuate, rescue, etc. So there are these two models we are integrating. And what is interesting and important, there is the data exchange inside the system, which is based on voxels. Most of you would know what is pixel about, which is the element of the picture when you have the digital photograph. Each pixel, each point is a pixel. But in the space, there are cubes, little cubes, which we call voxels, and they are covering the whole space of the building. And we are simulating the values which will be reached in each of the voxels, which means the temperature, smoke, visibility, etc. So as you see, this is very complex. And in the injury model, we are also simulating the parameters of the person. So how the environment can may influence the health state of the person, and how he may become from the uninjured, which is green, to injured and not moving. Then it creates the obstacle for the others, etc. So this is what is being simulated on the person. I mean, how the contaminants impacts the person's health. And you may see here that there's a lot of parameters which we follow and compute and watch at each of the persons which are in the scene, which are in the scenario treated, and those parameters serve as for computation and for visualization. So everything is shared by all those models. So how it is being done? How we do it? How we did it? We have this building in BIM model, and this 4-story building, and the model proposed we have fire ignition on the second floor. The CFD model, you see here the complicated structure, and you see that there is about 2 million of elements which the model has to take care about to compute, and which the model has to simulate or model in time how it develops. What more, there are many of the movable or dynamic elements which might be controlled from the scenario manager, which might change the scene. For example, when you open some window, there might be completely different conditions for the fire. The fire might blow up, the smoke might go to the places where it never been. So it might be good or worse or bad for the people which are inside. So here you may, by operating those movable parts, you may change the behavior of the scenario and watch what is happening and find the optimal structures, for example, of the building, and find the optimal behavior of the people and of the rescuers. Here is the example how the CFD works. So there is a timing. We said that there should be the fire ignites somewhere here. And so we, by time, how the fire is being spread over the rest of the building. We may look to that in the simulation, in the time. So you see what is happening in the building. So that is one model. It's CFD. So we were watching the temperature. Similar, we may compute the visibility. So if there is some smoke, it is very important for the people. If you are in the room where you don't see anything, it's very hard to orientate. So you see what is happening with the visibility, and everything has impact to the people on this very place in each room of the building. And that is another scenario of the building. So this is one model, this crowd simulator. Let's go further. Then we have a tunnel. As I told you, the tunnel is very complicated structure, is very elaborated system with everything you could imagine and more. And this is also described as in BIM, and it is input to the simulator. And in the tunnel, also we apply the fluid simulation. So you see what is inside the tunnel, and we may to the different parts simulate what will happen there. So again, there are some timing, there are some, let's say, accident or terrorist attack in this part of the tunnel. And in time, you see how it is developing. So we may have some different scenarios. For example, how the ventilation works in the tunnel or whatever may happen. So again, we may see different behavior by different parameters. So you see that there might be different kind of accidents with different behavior, and everything can be modeled. So again, this is just the result of the fluid simulation. But next, sorry, we have then the crowd simulator, which works like this. For the beginning, we have been using the open source NetLogo, it's sort of scientific simulation, which is being used for some university for simulation of very different things. So we use this, but it is in principle is two-dimensional. So it looks like this. This is the picture of the university floor with the possible fire ignition, and then all those people which are here, these points are moving in the direction to the exit, and they are crossing the way in each other, and they are in the combined or integrated simulation. They are smelling the smoke, or suffering from heat, or from other people. But this year we decided to change this to the more action technology, and we decided to go with the real engine, real simulation engine, which is being used for the games, because the software used for games are usually very elaborated, which is, for example, this one. It has also the open part of usage for some experiments. So we are using this simulation engine and visualization engine for the crowd simulation. And that's why we can now have the 3D pictures of the scene. Here is in the tunnel, for example, how the people are avoiding the fire, which is growing against them, or how they are moving in the tunnel. Those are just initial experiments, because we just began with it. So this is not final picture. They're just experimenting what we can do with it. For example, we can in this Unreal Engine, you have, let's say, for free all those visualizations. Here you may see the persons, how they are attracted by some objects. So it is changing the goals for them. So they are moving across the scene, or they are gathering here, or here they are smelling the fire. So they are just jump out of the window, then go to the fire. So, or here this is another scene where they do similar, but those person, there are some other scenario that I will show you here, that those person don't care and they die there. So, and those people then cause the obstacles for the others, so they have problem with evacuation. So this combined simulation, and in the tunnel it looks like this, as we've seen how the people go around the obstacle, around the fire. So you see that they take care about the fire. And if you look into the tunnel from the very perspective where is many people simulated, so you see how does it work. So we may then zoom in to look to the scene. How does it look like that? So this is the end. We are now in this position that we have everything designed. Now we are implementing the synchronized run of all those simulators and visualization. And in the next year, we are supposed to finalize the project. And I believe that the result might be very interesting for, as I said at the beginning, for architects, for security people who will take care about security of the building, even from the design side of design point of view, or from the point of view of rescuers or crisis planners, and etc. And also, but not least, it is also very nice tool for students, for sure. So it will be very useful at the universities. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are some questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you very much, Jaroslav. That was really, really interesting. I especially thought it was important to point out the secondary and sometimes perhaps unconscious side effects of fires, which is that the dead bodies themselves can become source of cascading effects, which is really interesting to put into the model. Ladies and gentlemen, we are running a little bit ahead of time now for the first time today. So if there are any questions about either Jaroslav's presentation, let's start there. Please drop them into the chat or into the QA box. Okay, I would like to then ask something. You mentioned at the end of your presentation that student and university environments would be a substantial application field for the software once you are done. Did I get that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more where you see the actual applications in that space?
In the development of scenarios, and in the university and the school, which educate the crisis managers, crisis planners, rescue persons, and also in the universities which educate architects and constructors that made to model on that to save buildings.
Thank you. That's very interesting. We've got a compliment, if I get that correctly, from Dr. Chawla, saying it was a really opening and exciting presentation. Thank you. Otherwise, it seems like that is it for the questions. So, Jaroslav, I would like to thank you very much for joining us today and for the really interesting talk. Okay, so we will now proceed to the last presentation of the day, which will be delivered by myself. Good afternoon, everyone. So I will be the last presenter for today. My name is Roman Tandlich, and I will present from South Africa on behalf of myself and my collaborators. I will give credit to the collaborators along the way. There are quite a few, because the endeavor that we are going to take on is not for one person to do alone, but for multiple people, and it will be quite a large team if we can pull it off. We have seen this week that the Kennesaw State University has hosted a really successful conference. We have seen a lot of presentations that are I think I captured 2 points in my own mind, and that is the breadth of the field. There was a lot of interesting and diverse topics that were covered. And at the same time, we have seen that emergency management and related to that disaster management and DRR pretty much encompass all the elements of life today. Now, when we first discussed the South Africa taking on an annual conference, this was about 3 years ago when Harald Dreger, as the president of TIEMS, visited us. We talked about potentially organizing one, and at the time it was quite a daunting challenge. I have to admit that I feel a little bit more at ease now that I've visited 2 conferences in person, and I have had the chance to follow 3 through an online format. So it has made one thing easier, and that is to try to decide what will be the overarching topic of the conference. Now, my background, I'm originally from Slovakia in the Central European space, but I have been in South Africa for the past 16 years, and throughout that, I have used my background, which was originally in biological sciences, and I transitioned into what is now emergencies and man-made disasters, and often also complex problems that arise from clashes between existing vulnerabilities and conditions that humanity sometimes does and sometimes doesn't control, and developmental pressures. Now, in the context of that, I have joined TIEMS in an elected capacity in 2018, even though I have been participating in the conferences and been aware of the organization for the past decade or so. Now, in the context of that, I've seen the level of expertise that the organization has, and also the mix of skills that the board of directors and other stakeholders, such as the reviewers and the international group of experts, bring to the table. And in the context of that, and after speaking with some of my collaborators that I will introduce in the context of the presentation, who are from South Africa or from the place that I come from, which is Central Europe, the overall theme for next year's conference is proposed to be something along the lines of the age of transformation between and in the middle of crises, emergencies, and disasters. And what I'm going to try and do over the next couple of slides is introduce the mix and the notions that we see socio-ecological systems and humanity and disasters being interlinked, and where the environment and humanity are coexisting, and also they are linked together in a feedback loop, or loops rather. I'm going to try to outline some of the challenges that we will try to engage with in the conference next year. So, looking at the 2 challenges that we have identified, there are 2 elements that the conference next year will attempt to address. Number 1, it is our 30th year in existence. The organization has been around since 1993. So on behalf of the South African team, we will, and in collaboration with other chapters, one proposal which we will put forward to the structures of TIEMS is to celebrate or try to capture the road so far that TIEMS has gone. And that is that we will try to also commemorate the fact that there has been a presence of the organization on the African continent way before I got involved, and to acknowledge the stakeholders that have come before us. And we will try to thus capture the following. We will try to honor and commemorate the journey of TIEMS so far by reflecting on some of the challenges, lessons, and the body of knowledge and the expertise that the organization has developed over the last 3 decades. We would like to use the conference to highlight the expertise from the international broad 17 chapters that the organization has worldwide, and try to also put it into the context of the challenges and expertise that exist on the African continent. So in other words, the topic will very much be in line of what was done in previous conferences, and that is to capture the essence of TIEMS in the 21st century as a transnational body that tries to unite and share expertise across boundaries of borders, expertise across fields, and so on. In addition to this expertise, we would like to take the initiative and submit to the board in the next couple weeks after the board has had a chance to meet in its new composition. That has been the result of our annual general meeting that took place on Tuesday. We will try to draw up on the collective memory and expertise that exists in TIEMS, and try to capture the journey so far in a book publication, which will be informed by the institutional repositories, such as the conference proceedings that are archived on the TIEMS website and in digital format. And we would also like to conduct, where we can, the interviews with key stakeholders to record the oral history, the achievements, and institutional lessons that TIEMS has learned as a organization throughout 3 decades that have passed. An attempt will be made to capture the best achievements and identify the assets and expertise that TIEMS has that can then be used for promotional purposes to grow our membership and try to achieve the goals that were highlighted by, for example, some of the candidates for new positions and people that have just been elected to the board, as well as by people that have long been associated with the organization, such as Harald, Tom, Yaroslav, and others. Yeah. So what about the conference? The second challenge that we would like to address is to present the African continent. We tend to say when someone lives in Africa that you're one and the same people, which is not the case. But there is one sense of identity which the African nations seem to have, and that is that when something happens on the continent, the idea is to pool the resources of the entire continent together and showcase whatever we can because of the mutual coexistence of all the expertise on the continent. And that's the philosophy that we will try to implement also in the conference. Specifically, the conference will take place in the southeastern part of South Africa, specifically in the province of the Eastern Cape. The conference activities will be anchored around Rhodes University, which is located in the city of Makanda. Slightly inland, I will show you shortly where the geographical location exactly is. We will try to capture the interviews that will come in the book, and we will try to translate that into engagements with local stakeholders so that the oral history of TIEMS and the expertise that we carry as an organization can be interacted with at the local level. There is quite a few organizations in Southern Africa that provide fora for exchange of information among disaster risk managers and also emergency managers. And we will try to then capture the best achievements locally and link them with the chapters on the continent and also beyond, and try to use the conference as a learning experience for all the participants, whether they're practitioners, academicians, or students. So this is a map of South Africa. You see that here. This is a country at the bottom of the African continent. And you see here a picture from Google Earth. This is Makanda. So you can see it's very close to the Indian Ocean coast. And the city that most of the attendees will probably fly to will either be Port Elizabeth or East London. And these are the small airports that will connect to major regional hubs such as Cape Town and Johannesburg. This is then the campus where we will try to anchor and host all our attendees, and that is Rhodes University, which is where I'm based and where my students and I try to contribute to the field of disaster and emergency management. Now, Eastern Cape itself embodies some of the challenges that we have talked about in our conference this year, and also that we continue to face as a fraternity or as a field of practice. This is the case for emergency managers and for disaster risk professionals. Now, Eastern Cape, we are the second largest province in South Africa by landmass, but we also have one of the highest degrees of challenges when it comes to vulnerability due to poverty and socioeconomic challenges such as imbalances in income, high levels of unemployment, which sometimes reaches 45%. We also have some of the problems that we have heard about today and in the previous days of this year's conference, that is that there is a lack of service delivery, breakdown in infrastructure of the water and sewage families causing major problems in the context of drought, maintenance of hygiene, irrigation of crops, and also political accountability becomes a problem. It becomes a problem from the fact that many times, even if funds are available, they are not being spent on public goods such as water, electricity, and so on, which leads to disrepair and creates cascading effects of existing disasters, and also challenges that arise in novel complex disasters that were such as, for example, outbreaks of infectious diseases that are related to wash and which are completely preventable. Process of aridification is underway, and we face a dire situation with power cuts, lack of water supply, and this then has negative impacts on the economic drivers of the area, which are ecotourism, agriculture, and similar activities. In addition to that, due to the uncontrolled nature of urban development, we face challenges with fires in urban areas, such as informal low-income settlements. And then also we have challenges with response and recovery due to, for example, the lack of water for fighting fires. So this is an example of some of the challenges that we will try to tackle or design as topics of the conference. You can see that here, this is a sinkhole, which is where houses have been built on soil that is either unfit for sinking building foundations in, or the sinkholes or the soil integrity have been eroded to the point of complete collapse of any structure that sits on top of the soil due to ingress of sewage or leakage of pipes. And we have heard about the infrastructure breakdowns. This is something that is happening around South Africa on a daily basis. The second picture that you see here is the problem of fires. This is an informal settlement which is built in an urban area close to a settlement that is upmarket, but the shacks in the low-income settlement are built so close together that it is impossible for fire trucks to get in there and effectively fight fires. This is another common challenge and a side effect of urbanization and also climate change and the current set of conditions in South Africa. In addition to that, you see here on the last picture, a flooding in an low-income settlement, flooding being driven by the fact that there is a flash flood from sudden onset storms that hit an urban area, and the shacks in the low-income settlement being built under the flood line, which means that marginal land is being used for human habitation, even though it is completely unsuitable for this purpose, but people use it due to the need to move to urban areas and seek economic opportunities. So, principles that will drive our program will be to reflect on the transformation of the landscape of emergency management, disaster risk reduction in the face of the challenges that we have discussed together in this conference, but that I have also outlined that are localized to the African continent and to South Africa specifically. We will try to use the age of transformation as a reflection of the fluidity of the socio-ecological systems, the complete nature of factors under which emergency managers and disaster risk professionals function is very fluid and sometimes becomes unpredictable. We have seen some excellent examples of solutions about how to tackle these challenges, and we try to propose that the next year's conference takes that conversation further. In addition to that, we would like to use the opportunity of next year's conference to compare regional differences and transformations in the field of emergency management, disaster risk reduction in response to the challenges that we all face. We would like to look for a chance to use the conference to seek for integrative solutions and multi-stakeholder research partnerships to be formed to tackle challenges that I've just spoken about. And then in the meantime, I would also like to keep in the background that overall, one of the things we need to consider is that the effects of climate change and anthropization or Anthropocene of the planet itself that we live in continues to influence the factors and the fluidity that I've just mentioned. And that's why we would like to keep that as a very strong focus of the conference next year. Currently, in preparation for the conference, certain relations have been and working relationships have been established between stakeholders that will very likely drive the program and organization of the conference. These are various departments at Rhodes University and the local disaster risk management and emergency management stakeholders in the Eastern Cape and in South Africa more widely. We have established a working relationship with one non-governmental organization, specifically the Northwest Umbrella Fire Protection Association, which is one of the biggest volunteer firefighting groups in South Africa, and they are very well equipped to fight fires in low resource conditions. We think their expertise will be crucial to the success of our conference. We would like to also draw on the experience and practice of two institutions that have also lived and exist in a space that has significantly transformed in the last 30 years. And these are two universities from Central Europe, specifically the Faculty of Security Engineering at the University of Žilina in Slovak Republic, and then the disaster management stakeholders from Botswana in Nigeria and South Africa. In addition to that, also the Institute of Disaster Management at the National University of Public Service in Budapest in Hungary. Comparing and drawing on the experiences of two areas that have undergone transformation from a totalitarian regime to democracy, specifically Central Europe and South Africa, provides a unique opportunity, in the opinion of the organizing committee, to look at transformation, to look at the lessons that have been accumulated, and also what can be learned and what are the problems that still need to be tackled. In the light of what I've just mentioned, the preliminary composition of the organizing committee and the scientific committee at the local level in South Africa and day-to-day operations in line with working together with other team structures is as follows. We would like to propose that the organization of the conference take place under the guidance of the president of TIEMS, Harald Dreger, and then also the board of directors of the organization, along with the well-established and well-experienced international group of experts. And last but not least, in mentioning the structures, the committee of reviewers, which carries a lot of experience, and we will seek their guidance to make the conference a success. And then you see some of my colleagues, Dr. Oosthuizen and Dr. Schwababa, who work at Rhodes University with me, and then various other stakeholders such as Dr. Breza, Chairman Stock from the Northwest Fire Protection Association, and then collaborators from Slovakia and Hungary, and also other members from across the African continent. Student committee will be recruited from amongst the chapters. We will send out a call once this has been discussed with the team's board of directors for regional structures to contribute and propose or provide recruitment of members who are young scientists or students, so that we can establish a committee to look after the student part of the program. The form of exactly how this will be carried out, we will still have to discuss. But we are seeking that there will be two levels of the conference. At the organizational front, that one will be focusing on the practitioner and academic papers from the experienced body of knowledge and the practitioners and academics. And then the second one will be to strengthen the student part of the conference. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to take any questions if they arise. Thank you very much. We can then hand over to Harald Dreger to provide some concluding remarks for today. Harald, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Roman. And I think you have laid out a quite interesting and very good program for next year. So I really look forward for that. And I like to encourage everybody that is left. We still have 19 listening in, even people from India, which must be far beyond midnight for them. So I won't go on for long. I will take you just a few minutes to say we are not finished, but we sum up the physical part of the conference. So the attendance here in Atlanta that conclude the physical participation. But we have a program tomorrow. We have, I hope we will have the Ukrainian on tomorrow. I saw just a message from Sochi, so seems they have electricity and internet at the moment. So we hope to have them. And by that, I think we will have 17 presentations tomorrow. But in parallel, we will have the TQC and TQAC workshop. We have 11 persons signed up for that, but there's still possibility. And if you are a member, you just tell us and you will be sent the link to participate, or you can pay your membership and then you can be part of that TQC and TQAC workshop. I looked into what we have been doing, and we have presented more than 60 presentations today up to now, and still 17 to go tomorrow. So that's close to 80. We have a few non-show for different reasons, but they are far less than 10. So that's great. We are working still on the award for the students. The reason for that, we have a student presentation tomorrow. After that, we will come out with a list and we'll send it to everybody that has registered for the conference. And the numbers I have so far is 164 are registered for this conference, either physically, virtually, or to the workshop. And they come from all 34 countries. And I probably, it's now 5 o'clock here, and which far beyond in other parts of the world. So the only thing I like to tell you is that we had the AGM, and I think it's valid to show you the elections so you know who was elected in the board of directors. So I will share my screen and show you. And we have the following candidates were supported by the board, and they were elected with 100% support of the AGM. I myself was re-elected as president for the coming 3 years. The new vice president was Joseph Lightman from USA with experience and background from the World Bank. Director for Europe, Jean-Paul Monnet, he was re-elected, and this, I think, is his third or fourth term. TIEMS Regional Director for Australia, New Zealand, Oceania. We got a new person, Craig Hansen, and he is from New Zealand, and very interesting to also get New Zealand into TIEMS board. And the Director for Research and Development, Gilles Dessert, from France. He is a professor at École de Mines and responsible for a laboratory on emergency management observation on human behavior. And the last one, TIEMS Director for Membership and Chapters, was Yusuke Okita from Japan. And you saw all of them also in the presentation of the TQC panel. With those words, I won't keep you longer. I just stop sharing. And I will say thank you. We have had an audience, and the good thing with virtual attendance is that everybody have a good audience. And I thank you for today. It's been an interesting day. And thank you, Roman, for sharing this in a very excellent way. Thank you all, and see you tomorrow. We start 9 o'clock our time with both the workshop and in parallel the rest of the presentation. Have a good evening.